Welcome to Indie Conversations. This is the video series that is sponsored by the Calgary Society of Independent Filmmakers. It's all about talking with independent filmmakers here in and around Calgary about their current projects. I am very excited to be joined here today by Dylon Klemen-Hurrell, who is going to talk about his short film, his short animated film called Echo. You can actually see this film very, very soon. It's playing this Thursday, November 14th, 6:30 p.m., part of the Northern New Wave Shorts package from the GIRAF Animated Film Festival. Dylon, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
I want to jump right into ask you the question of how did you get into animation in the first place?
So basically, through college, university, I went to university originally for fine art. I was thinking of doing sculpture, painting. I just knew I wanted to do art. I went as a mature student, so
Gotcha.
I'd already been stewing with ideas by then, working, and I was like, I want to do art. And as I went through school, I did character design, illustration. I went to the design school, and then I had a class with Bill Dyer, who's worked on stuff like The Flying Sailor.
Oh, yeah.
He got me really excited about animation because I had all these crits where we talked about art and my painting stuff. Those are cool, but then I had this one specific crit where I made this thing called Potato Dad, where a dad shaped like a potato falls off a diving board, and it was the best crit I had because everyone just laughed. They I don't know, and that ignited
Good feeling.
Yeah, and I was like, animation.
Were you inspired by animation growing up at all, or was this really something you kind of just fell into?
I think I was growing up. I watched all the Disney stuff when I was a kid, and I loved that. And I remember in high school, I kind of fell off of it afterwards, but I always imagined these animated films I wanted to make. That kind of went away for a bit for some reason, but throughout high school, I'd always be drawing worlds and stuff and fleshing them out. And I think there's always that seed. And one thing that actually really brought me into animation was I didn't actually know this was by Quickdraw first, but I saw a screening of Akira at the Globe.
Yeah.
And they had taiko drums beforehand. They're doing crazy performance. And then I saw the film for the first time on the big screen, and it just blew my mind.
Yeah, it really does melt your brain a little bit when you see that for the first time.
Yeah, it was insane. And I was like, okay, that's something you can do. I want to do that.
So then where was that change then for you of going from I'm doing this as part of my studies to being I want to pursue this as a craft or pursue this as a profession of some kind?
It was in one of my later classes. So I had that moment where I made everyone laugh and it felt really good. And then I kept doing character design illustration thing, and I'd be working video games or something.
Sure.
But I had a class later on where there's another animation class. I did a minor, and my instructor, I was having a lot of trouble with my instructor actually. I kept trying to do these robot animations, character design stuff, and it wasn't really working out. And then I suddenly just decided one day to animate music.
Oh, okay.
And he really liked that. I was realizing I really like this. It's really intuitive. I really enjoy it. From there, I got to screen in GIRAF for the first time from a student film. I don't know, it just felt natural. It just felt really easy, not easy, but intuitive. It felt like I was getting some feedback loop from making this and the positive reception. And then,
so excuse my really dumb question. When you say animate music, what do you mean?
So I'll actually make the music myself.
Okay.
Because I've been ever since I was 15. I've been playing around with something called FL Studio, which is just a little program you can put in notes and it'll play a song back to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always played around with that and had a lot of fun. And I never really, until this film I made as a student, I never really took it as a serious thing I'd ever do. Visual music is just putting those notes and making the song, and then literally I take the audio waveform, and then whenever there's a note, I'll make a big animation to it. So when you play it back, the sound and visuals are synchronized, so you're literally seeing it's visual music.
Yeah, it's I guess a much more intentional version of that visualizer.
Yeah.
Thing that you can do in iTunes. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that. But you can put it to music and it can try to does some animations in real time for you.
And then a more pure hand-drawn version, I guess. Yeah.
What style of animation have you explored? Because there's so many out there: stop motion, 3D, hand-drawn. There's even more than that. But where do you tend to go yourself?
Pretty much all my work has just been 2D, digital, hand-drawn. Animation as a practice is a very time-consuming. Every version of it is time-consuming.
Yeah.
Others more so that, the digital, for instance, very fast. That's what I do. I don't have to worry about paper, about smudging colors and stuff.
Sure.
I've done some stuff where I've done like cutout animation, which is kind of cool. You like literally take paper cutouts and a camera over top.
Yeah, it's really.
And you do stuff like that. I'm interested in doing some more traditional stuff actually, but I just don't really have the experience right now, but something perhaps in the future.
So tell me about Echo here then. You had to do your elevator pitch, like quick, like 20-second soundbite. What is Echo about?
Echo is about the creation, expansion, and rebirth of the universe through music.
Yeah, one of those stories, right?
Yeah.
And that is also like the 2D hand-drawn animation style?
Yep.
Mhm.
All 2D hand-drawn. And then I use like 3 programs, basically. FL Studio to make the music, Toon Boom Harmony, which is all the digital animation happens, then something called After Effects. Well, that'd be After Effects. I just like, where I just make it look shiny and pretty.
Sure, yeah.
With this one, I originally actually, when I started making it, it was around like 2021, and I wanted to make this, I originally wanted to make it about this big like dystopian world of those robot little creatures that are all like musical creatures. Okay. And I tried to make this much more narrative thing, but it wasn't working. So I was like, how can I simplify this? And I simplified it to like, what if I just showed like the raw elements of nature that I could think of as music? Mm-hmm. So that's like the furthest I felt like I could like simplify. And that's kind of where I got to like, yeah, like let's just draw like atoms. What do atoms look like?
Right, okay.
What would atoms look like to music?
How did your collaboration with Quickdraw start?
Well, I was first pointed to Quickdraw by Bill Dyer, my instructor, and so I went up to him, I was like, how do I make movies? And he's like, well, a good place to start is Quickdraw. And so he planted the seed. The first time I actually did something with Quickdraw was with Ryan Von Hagen. I had a class with him. Yeah. And Giraffe 16 came up and he was like, everybody go to Giraffe. I was like, okay. And I went, it was all online at that point because it was 2021. It was like a beautiful, lush animation, so much cool, inspiring stuff. And from there, I always had Quickdraw in my mind. I guess when I first kind of did stuff with them, like actually going to their studio, was the lockdown in 2022, which is lockdown is when they like get people to come in for the weekend. You make a film over like 2 days, right? 2 or 3 days. I did that, and I got to meet everyone, see the space and stuff, and I was like, wow, this is so awesome. Like you could do this as a job, but you could just like come in, you draw in this space with other people, and then you go home. Like that's the dream. And then over time, I just kept like hanging out. I got a grant, which helps, but like I got to rent a studio from them, and then, you know, like everyone there has become really good friends. We have like an awesome community of artists that are like, this is really amazing stuff.
Specifically, how do you think you've grown as an artist then over the last couple of years while making this?
Right after graduating, I didn't really have any work because, you know, it was just right after the pandemic. I was like, okay, let's get some like a regular job just so I can, you know, pay the bills. Yeah. And I just applied to AFA grants. And I luckily got one, you know, that kind of started, like I graduated, so I had like like a good background, I guess. Like anybody that graduates from an art degree will have like a good foundation, but I still was pretty rough with what I was doing. But through being there and being around other animators and like just constantly having a space to like just focus and lock into what I'm doing, I look at stuff I made when I first started my project, which was like early 2023, and the stuff I'm doing like from like the past 6 months, and it's just from being there constantly doing it, I can see I have a lot more confidence just in my visuals. Like there's a lot more like direction. I guess there's probably a better word for that, but like there's a lot more focus. It's clear. I've learned how to like come up with ideas better and like plot out what I want to do. Even in my own film, I think, because I made it over a couple of years, I can see the beginning of the film. It looks good in my opinion. And like, but I can see points where like, oh, I was at an earlier point when I was animating this scene versus like towards the end. There's some of my more recent work, which is a lot more like I'm doing more daring stuff. Right. Like I have like more perspective changes and stuff that I might not have tried to do back then. So I'm like, I don't know if I could do that. I'll just do like this more simple thing, you know? The
annoying question to ask you, even though like you're celebrating this short Echo, is there something you're thinking of doing next?
Yeah, I've actually applied for another grant.
Oh, good.
Just in September. I have a bunch of ideas. I'm just trying to figure out how to write them in a way that they're doable, because animation, the scope can really quickly get out of hand just because of the amount of work it takes. But I have a little short that I want to make that's kind of more intimate. It's more character driven. It's still in visual music, but it's about like figures dealing with like internal conflict and stuff. It's still kind of a vague idea. I applied for pre-production, so I want to develop that idea further.
Right.
Later down the road, I don't know when this is going to happen. It could be like the next 10 years, because I would like to make a feature-length animation at some point.
Yes.
Whether that's through like Canada Council funding, or if I can pitch it to a studio. I have an idea of where it's like a story that's been written and rewritten over like a decade of my life. I've just been trying to make it into. I still like it though, so I wouldn't be interested if I didn't think it was a decent idea, because I have lots of ideas that I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm not into that.
Right. Echo will be playing at the GIRAF Film Festival as part of the Northern New Wave package, Thursday, November 14th, 6:30 p.m. at the Globe Theater. So you can go and get tickets right now. Dylon, thank you once again.
Thank you.